It wasn't only a relationship that broke apart, it was a whole lifestyle disintegrating before our very eyes. A system of belief, a religious covenant, and decades of forbearance started crumbling. Not quietly, but in front of an entire nation on national television. The Browns, who were once held up as the epitome of how plural marriage would work in modern society, have come to represent something else entirely. A tale of emotional scars, secret sorrows, and women finally emerging into their own authority after being pushed to the periphery for far too long. Hello everyone, I'm Sarah, and welcome back to Next Updates on TLC, where we don't only report the drama, we break it down. We cut through the headlines and get to the bottom of the truth. If you've been following along on this journey with the Browns as intently as I have, hit subscribe and leave a comment below. What was the moment specifically that you knew that things would never be the same again? Because today's story isn't about rumors. It's about real transformation. The kind that wakes you up in the middle of the night, aching with the truth you've been trying to ignore. For years, these women were told to have faith, to wait, to believe that love and harmony would return. But instead, things only got worse. And what do you do when the religious foundation upon which you constructed your life, loyalty, shared motherhood, and commitment begins to dissolve? Christine was the first to speak out of the silence. She said it aloud. She was finished. No longer pretending for the cameras, no longer forcing a smile while being seen but not heard. Her exit in 2021 wasn't merely a breakup. It was an act of liberation in bold strokes. And once she took that leap, nothing was ever the same again. But let's take a break for a moment, because what Christine did didn't affect her alone. It shook up the whole Brown family. Janelle, being the practical one that she was, attempted to maintain the structure of the family. She hung on to peace for as long as humanly possible, but even she had her limit. Seeing her children hurt, seeing herself diminish in the interest of harmony, it was all too much. Her fatigue was no longer one that could be kept under wraps. And then there was Meri. Her silence was a deafening scream. For years, she suffered at the hands of emotional neglect, playing second fiddle, bit by bit rebuilding who she was without love and support she had previously taken for granted. She didn't blow up, she didn't rage, but her subtle steps away were screaming messages. Meanwhile, Kody was falling apart. In his own head, he was still the head, the glue that held it all together. But in life, he had long lost their trust, their hearts, and most notably, their faith in him. The dream had passed him by. So here's the question that we're all haunted by. What do you do when the family that you've given everything to slowly slips right out of your hands? The breakthrough? When Christine stared straight into the camera and into her very heart and declared, "I'm not happy. I deserve more." That wasn't merely an individual moment of revelation. It shattered the illusion wide open. For years, Christine was the sunny one, the caretaker, the glue. She cooked the meals, raised the children, held the faith, even as she disappeared from sight. But within, she was shattering. And finally, something within her gave, and thank God it did. She saw Kody emotionally withdraw further and further from her, particularly after Robyn came into the picture. And let's get real. We all witnessed it. The favoritism, the emotional detachment, the undeniable imbalance. Christine transitioned from being a wife in every possible way to becoming a placeholder. That isn't painful. That's humiliating. Exiting wasn't an impulsive move. It was a gradual, agonizing one. She did everything she could to make it work. Therapy, openness, brutal honesty. But when Kody informed her that he was no longer physically attracted to her and didn't want to fix things between them, that was the coup de grace. And so she left. She packed her bags, informed the kids, and relocated to Utah. Each mile was one step closer to taking back her life and her self-worth. The kids, particularly Tiny Truly, didn't get it. But Christine explained it with grace and honesty. She wasn't disappearing. She was blazing a trail. She was teaching her daughters the value of choosing yourself. And then came David Woolley, an affair that was unlike anything she had ever experienced. No drama, no polygamy, no eggshell walking, only peace, joy, respect for one another. For the first time in decades, Christine's light reappeared. Her smile grew wider. Her laugh was fuller. Her Instagram reflected her actual life, not a constructed one for the show. She's doing well, starting a short-term rental company, publishing a memoir, producing content that rings true. Meri Iawn was na éan siúla bharsa na síostal bahí réach fanneachgat na sí sin tí réir lisna smers nó ar na flasir ní áfadíris sa sílam anzais dí stan sa éim is gil síiste ní ambersta hí Mr. Fan suach bí ré is ná hí de lair chlipsis sers never do los na wis flasir náfis híl sa díir hí lwils Laura would the hero surgery did our serum, near by either were hurt, he's in all over Novenet, however, the valley bluish. Heard that, we seen what fit up, Nishmasses off at sea, living offish. Fell best never, nighty book, skiffer, but the Najer position next to Masses Nit Flasser, slow missing his master Bavegish. Fell zero, he says Bavegish. Flasser her vaxity wrist up, God knowing it, and it was mastin and it on. We breath night gibish, snashing the rat that. Schule war auch sehr im was necessary there we such as nischkaj never nachgat serene der von fair was er niesen da hiet viel schach den dem day that's ne her machen die her neffen die doch nebs neer sine en schele mich gebach up nice er not the one there's night and a scan her feel but he servers nach nie schiff achsim if ne it's a rit so and ne bo and the see ring gel lo shield Loos daar zo we. En er voor gedaan dit dus de last van zo'n nieuws niet meer absurd. Ja, heb wel liefs nou surfen de zo zo is de. Maar van die red vlog en een wie. Sneer en blur was het graag ben de thief dat hoe nou wat. Snet er uit zo nou wat. Veel surfen zo weer hem. Er on gay bring all on de gillis na. So first they're not very year vloer ben maar wat stay ook get. Hier weer heel beest de. First wilps gedaan. Doel aan. Healer acht de slang het massa wieners serum. Sier no aberhurs blendes net. Shalp serim niet circlo. Syrup se wit up. Why is that near sir? Gerb de las hep. Gerb de las. See, ban niet karts niks is net. See, first the ja. Das is. Nish net der vlieg nedish. Naimo is certain nedish. Spaarstleef said no aberla en me no. Veel van mij achten en je weet zich dat ze. Weer wat slendish dabbing is in mo is sto. Nerts that. En net. Ja, chin if zich up. Heard it on slendish. Das if any name is since he and gave from one. Slams there's coffee name from one. What should we guess to the fangel? Shin if sich net. Snarfer van no ne bar na ish. Yes, I can debate you through to this bed no ish. Get next your passish. He'll need air given to him, baby net. He'll get net top. Fill listening out. He'll message. Get he nang of your passish. Her, I've been ever vents that Zaki. Special shieler no war one. See flash her milk one. Such no lash nice cost to get to your head. He's the shift is fast net. He's a gel. He eliminates the snort. See, brush never. Stick your thumbs mouth for us. There are sich. Guess net thought such. Here, and on. He shall fun. When it mustn't get far from the blend. But, yeah, but. Snelly asked the often getting it. Why did you reckon it? But I guess on the sir that no. He might further feed a little bit snap 09 after the leather obish. Right, but soon, but that who know what they be a mish. What good surf at Nanzo we should net. Well, but evening leaf as very bastard ill. And a shot skill and show him with another but near low shva. Well, the average when I was away. Snidey was it but got only siva no one so fitter and slendish. The way off with their slendish. Stam with Dutch sneak circuit zakip. Fit him ropes next deal keep up. Low dark room. Heard I auch obsessive from but I'm slendish. Nice and then it gets nice set. Loker tight and as ear so where's der but sneak circ sarah up. The ear just nick me gibish. The ear bill maki be learning medidish. You is doing it. Her wahper cap gustish. Feely learning medit needs circ. The opposite gets the slant no muscles. The other night me last during all one. Her thought nailer fair me lot. Mears der full circus effort casting all one. He pahi business shimmer mix at sea sish. If your vetters lot of what's the ocean damn needs circ. Niddy one of their tharvos. Does your fanny at the her skellus hal I don't know muss. Her all little such and the ingahish fit it. Making it see what. Surf sir that you be see what. All loose nilly ass name of the higher needs circ. I could see over. Yeah, muss. Yeah, no, it kept skit. Sorry, you're Heel out. Today wish. Versus see what we feel this nail celery best snap. Romina we versus us no. Now happy list the always your vendor yet name it says that. Thingers finicky busy. Our CV the library learning me. The nest nurse sahni circling you is us in the net. Smash no or not else good saskis doking out for years it was you is knit up. He McGill up to failing of average. Kody didn't look back. He didn't wonder how things might have been otherwise. He held tighter to what was left to him. Robyn. But it was expensive. For in preferring Robyn again and again, he severed his bond to the rest of the family, particularly his children. And that's where this tale gets its most pointed twist. At first, it was subtle, easy to overlook, unless you were paying close attention. But the fans noticed it. The skipped birthdays, the ignoring of family crises, the finger pointing when the children had the temerity to question authority. Over time, the emotional distance between Kody and his older kids, particularly those he had with Christine and Janelle, expanded into something unmistakable, full-blown estrangement. Then, the day arrived that shook the world of social media. The now notorious tough love versus mothering love statement. Kody asserted his children weren't in need of cuddling, of being mothered. They needed discipline. It wasn't merely unforgiving. It was icy, and it hurt. For audience members, it wasn't about parenting. It was about showing up. How could a dad who hadn't been present for his children expect to be obeyed? The comment didn't only hurt the wives. It infuriated fans. It created an image of a man more interested in control than connection. Then there was the tell-all. Any chance of reflection or regret was soon gone. What we got instead was a man disintegrating before our eyes, defensive, angry, grasping at loyalty as if it were money. No apology, no exposure, only monologues of betrayal, of being fed up with effort, of how he was done wrong. But for so many longtime viewers, the reality had already sunk in. And this wasn't leadership. This was deflecting. A man drowning in shame and opting for fury over accountability. Kody didn't only lose his wives, he lost something much deeper. Trust. From his family, from the fans, from anyone who had ever thought he was keeping it all together. But if Kody's narrative is one of loss and loneliness, Robyn's is perhaps the most conflicted. Or at least, depending on who you ask, the most infuriating. When she became a member of the Brown family, she was considered the bright start, the new chapter, Kody's so-called soulmate. But now, Robyn feels lonelier than ever. She used to be the peacemaker. She spoke the right words. She cried when the others were suffering. But at some point, the fractures in her veneer started to appear. Fans have not forgotten her notorious moo crack, sneering at Christine's suffering in a moment that was meant to be raw and vulnerable. It wasn't merely cruel. It was menacing. That moment changed everything. All of a sudden, Robyn didn't appear so much like a victim of dysfunctional family life. She appeared to be a symbol of the reason the others escaped. Then, there was the financial stress, the costly decor, the doll collections, the unanswered questions, all while Janelle lived in an RV, barely making ends meet. And that family pot idea? It began to seem one-sided, as if one wife was still getting, while the other wives had nothing. But most telling of all was when Robyn finally confessed how she truly felt, like the fool who had been left behind. Not the beloved one, not the victor, just the remaining one alone in a dream that had long since become a nightmare. And now, she's alone in the very vision that she used to struggle to maintain. So when you step back and view the big picture, the silence, the betrayal, the shattered dreams, what really stands out isn't the collapse of a plural marriage. It's the unbreakable strength of the women who chose to walk away. Christine, Janelle, Meri, they didn't merely leave Kody. They left a belief system that required them to shrink further to fit in. And now, they're expanding, each in their own way. Louder, stronger, freer. Reality TV might have caught them at their worst. Their most agonizing moments were televised for the world to see. But in doing so, it endowed them with something powerful. A voice. A platform to demonstrate other women viewing that survival is not the same as living. And that it's never too late to start anew. So there's the question that stays with us long after the end credits. Is it more important to remain silent and maintain the peace? Or to walk away so you can finally catch your breath? Let us know in the comments. Who do you feel most like? Christine's brash departure? Janelle's introverted determination, Meri's patient fortitude, or even Robyn's unraveling attempt to keep it all together. Thanks for watching, guys. I'm Sarah, and this is TLC's Next Updates. If you like this, hit the like button, subscribe for more, and check back soon, because we're just getting started digging up the truth behind the show.